Hello and welcome to The Bearded Mystic Reacts. Today I'm bringing a new series where I'll be reacting to spiritual videos. I'm looking forward to this because one, I get to learn by listening to spiritual teachers speak, then reacting to what they're saying, and also giving my take on things and maybe enhancing the conversation a little bit. Today, in this very first reaction video, I will be looking at a conversation that occurs between Rupert Spira. He's a famous non-dual teacher. He is in England, where I'm from, and he is part of the direct path. Those that understand the differences and nuances in Advaita Vedanta, Rupert Spira emphasizes on the direct path, but he also talks about Kashmir Shaivism as well and Sufism. He is really someone who has a united vision. He doesn't see himself as a spiritual teacher. He knows people regard him as such, but he sees himself as being a friend to everyone, which is a very unique take on the guru and disciple relationship. The reason why I have this as the first video is because Rupert talks about spirituality and how to be practical in it. That's because of the young devotee that asked a question, which is Timo. So we will get to know them both a bit more, and let's begin.
Hi, Rupert.
Yes. Hi. Nice to see you. There we are. Yes. Hi.
Yeah. So over the last 2.5 years, I haven't been to school, and I've only worked like 2 days a week or so. And so I've had a lot of time meditating, just being at home. And now just this week, I decided, or previously as well, but now school began again. And
Timo, when you say school, sorry, I know school in America and England means slightly different thing. What stage are you? What stage is what?
Okay, so 2.5 years ago, I graduated high school 2.5 years ago, and
yes.
I'm going back to like high school for adults because I want to get some higher certificates.
Okay, so it's not college or university. You're going back to high school as a mature student, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And so I decided to do that partially.
This is very important for someone who's going to answer a question like Rupert is doing. What Rupert is doing is very interesting. He's asking and clarifying what Timo is saying so he can understand the situation. And I think there are some gurus who don't do this very well. They just go straight to the judgment. But Rupert here, in this video anyway, he's really trying to understand the situation. I really like that. I think that's amazing. Let me just go back a little.
I decided to do that partially to get better certificates, but also actually because I thought it'd be a great yoga, a nice challenging yoga pose. And that turned out to be very much the case. In fact, so challenging that my mind was completely, last few days, it felt like it just took a massive hit. Like over the last few months, I felt quite increasingly stable and established, or not like fully established, but slowly progressing. And now it's like it feels like I'm 10 steps back, and I know that's not the case because it's like these new stimuli are awakening old habits of the separate self that were dormant and didn't get triggered. And now,
just before we go more into this, I have really enjoyed how Timo has expressed himself about how the mind really does take us aback when we see new stimuli. We're in a new situation or a new environment, and we may feel that the awareness that we've been building up in our meditation doesn't last throughout the day. So even though he's got a problem that is ancient, but I love the way he's modernized it in his approach to the question. But also what is amazing is how he understands the message that Rupert has been giving. He mentions that he understands that it's a separate self. All these things matter. The other thing that I really like was in the beginning when he spoke, he talked about it being a yoga, a practice, going back to school, being in the world. That shows me that he's not living in the world to be in the world. He's living in the world, but understanding that he is Brahman, or he is awareness, as Rupert often describes it as. It's been very interesting so far.
How everything's getting triggered, and I know that's a very good thing, but it's quite challenging to kind of keep up with it, and at the same time actually be able to pay attention to the class and homework and everything. So I was wondering if you had some advice on how to manage this increase in intensity.
I'm looking forward to Rupert's answer right now. So far, I've really liked Timo's question. It's something I can relate to, even though, I'm at work, even though I'm working from home. There are certain challenges that even occur there. There's so much going on, and I can really understand where he's coming from. I'm now looking forward to what Rupert's going to say.
The first thing to say, Timo, is that I think it's a very good thing, but your decision to go back to school and to get qualifications, more qualifications that will give you greater choices in life, greater skills, qualifications. So I think that's a very good thing. You've had this last couple of years or so. I know you've been very deeply involved in this understanding, exploring your true nature, and that will stand you in very good stead, not only for school, but later, obviously. But it's very good, I think. I completely approve of your going back to school. I can also completely understand the challenges that suddenly your mind is being required to work in a way that it probably hasn't for a couple of years. So yes, it's probably a bit rusty, and maybe also throws up some old issues that have been dormant in you for a while, all of which, as you rightly say, is a very good thing. The peace that cannot stand these kind of experiences is not real peace. It's a fragile peace. It's not the stable peace. So just as you are doing, you should welcome this test of...
I really like this. Rupert truly understands and is very compassionate with Timo. That is the key sign for me for a genuine teacher, where they can listen and they can take in what you said and they understand the challenges that you face. What I see there is a genuine understanding, a very genuine relationship. And he obviously knows Timo, as he mentioned. He knows that he's been obviously working on this spiritual path. So that must imply that Timo is a regular in these online sessions that have been going on. Very, very interesting. Let me just go back a little bit.
This test of your stability, this test of your establishment in your true nature, and not to think of it as a failure if you find yourself lost in thoughts and feelings and so on, but to consider it as I know you do, an opportunity to just go deeper into yourself, but in this case not in the absence of experience, alone at home with the bedroom door shut, but out in the world with students who are now probably a couple of years younger than you, most of them.
No,
is that right?
No, same age.
They're mostly adult, mature. Okay,
that's
okay.
like a special high school for.
I see. Okay. But even so, it has its plenty of associated challenges. Welcome them. Just embrace them completely.
Really interesting. Even though Rupert is corrected, I was watching to see if there was any kind of annoyance in his facial expression. Nothing. That was quite unique. Just seeing that, how he accepted that he didn't understand fully the whole high school additional certification thing, and I wouldn't have either. I wouldn't have known about it. And what's also great is he's acknowledging the challenges that go with it, and also what he can look forward to. He's also inspiring Timo at the same time, saying that he knows that Timo sees this as an opportunity. Very beautiful. Absolutely respect that. So let's get back to it.
So it has its plenty of associated challenges. Welcome them. Just embrace them completely. These are life's challenges whose purpose, for one who is deeply in love with the truth, as you are, is not to thwart us in any way, but to help us become more stable in this felt understanding.
Very wonderful. I just want to re-emphasize what Rupert says there. It's about stabilizing yourself and becoming established in this understanding. And that is something we all aspire to do when we want to practically live the message. So I really like Rupert's answer so far. It's been really, really insightful for me particularly, and I hope it has for you too. He talks about how problems are there to help us. Issues that come up are there to help us because now we're on the path towards the truth. So no longer should we look at things being a disturbance. We should actually look at them as being opportunities to enhance our spirituality. If we really are on that path towards the truth, that's really something we need to be looking at as what is our real intention. If we really want the truth, then everything we do is going to be helping us towards that. Why would life be against us being connected to our true nature? In fact, it enhances life if we are connected with it. So what Rupert has said is very, very true and a wonderful way of looking at it.
Help us become more stable in this felt understanding, not just in the absence of experience, but in the midst of experience, which in your case means in the midst of studying and deadlines and tests and exams or whatever it is you have to face. But so all I would say is one, I would say I approve very much of your going back into school, to studying. You'll be learning new skills, all of which in time will be used in the service of your understanding in the world. Whatever work, whatever field you find yourself in the world, I've no doubt in your case that it will be in some ways an expression of your understanding, and you are acquiring at school, you are acquiring the skills and abilities that you will need to do that later in life. So don't worry about the challenges. Don't worry if you sometimes feel that it knocks you completely off your peaceful perch. Don't worry. Just allow yourself to be knocked off your peaceful perch, and because you know where the place of refuge is in yourself. You know how to come back there. So don't prevent yourself. Don't allow your love of truth from preventing yourself to go fully out into the world, even if at times it may seem that your love of truth has to recede a little bit in order to enable you to fully engage in activities and relationships.
Wow, that was incredibly deep, and something I often think about when we're in the world. Sometimes when we're working in the world, when we're having so much going on, we've got bills to pay, we've got events to attend to. Right now we have a pandemic. There's so many things going on where truth, our sitting down for meditation, our sitting down reading scriptures, normally takes a back seat in this time. But that doesn't mean that we are losing anything. Sometimes we have to be in the world to make it better. And I also like what Rupert said to Timo, that the skills that you learn today are going to help you in the future. They're going to be beneficial for you in the future, and they're going to aid you in the truth. What a way of looking at things. What a wonderful approach towards life. If we understood that everything we're doing today, the work that we do, represents the truth, represents our true nature, represents Brahman, we would be working in a much different way. In fact, because we live in duality, we see our working life different and our spiritual life different. And here, I'm seeing it from Rupert's answer, there is this element of non-duality. There's an element of oneness and not being too fixated on them being two different things. That's the feeling I'm getting. Let's continue on with the discussion.
Yeah, that's what I've been feeling as well. There was this kind of conflict the first day or so where I felt like I have to remain stable, and it was almost like I was trying too hard, and then I kind of went the other way where I just released completely, and I'm looking for the kind of sweet spot where at the same time I'm not like applying effort to try and remain present, but at least have some kind of remembrance throughout. So
well, don't worry if you forget from time to time. It's completely normal. You will. But the remembrance...
This is powerful. Now, again, this is why I was talking about Rupert being a very good teacher. He understands there's going to be pitfalls. He understands there's going to be obstacles. And there's going to be times when we're going to forget remembering that Brahman is, or this awareness is there in the background. We will forget about the truth while we're in the world. But we can't beat ourselves up about it. Really love what he said there. That's incredible.
So I was wondering if you had advice for...
Yes, well, don't worry if you forget from time to time. It's completely normal. You will. But the remembrance is well established in you, so it will not take you long to come back. So at the moment there's a kind of back and forth in you, and there's a little bit of a conflict between the background of awareness and the foreground of experience, the demands of your studies in this case. In time, this conflict will diminish to the extent that you barely notice the difference between retiring, taking refuge in your being, and being out in the world full of activities. And this challenge that you're going through at the moment will facilitate that recognition, the absence of distinction between the two. So it may not be comfortable, you may feel that you forget from time to time, but at a deeper level it's all part of the facilitating of this stabilization, not just in the absence of experience, but in the midst of experience. So I would recommend you go wholeheartedly into your studies, out into life. That there is this tendency in you that I sense due to your love of truth to retire. I notice it in you because I was very like that when I was your age. That there's this pull, this inner pull away from life into yourself. And I would just encourage you out into life. As you well know, you take yourself with you wherever you go. Nothing.
I just want to say, I'm the same. There's times where I would just like to recede back and just stay in meditation and just concentrate on that and just be fully involved in my spirituality. So I totally get it. But Rupert is right. There's no need to do that. It's spot on in terms of observation.
And I would just encourage you out into life. As you well know, you take yourself with you wherever you go. Nothing can take that away from you. So I would just encourage you to go very fully out into your studies, and don't worry if from time to time you forget.
Yeah, I have felt this strong desire to go out even over the last few months. And I feel that sometimes I kind of give myself too fully to whatever I'm doing, where there's too much.
Don't worry about if it's too much. If you don't know, in order to find the right balance, you have to know what too much feels like. In order to find the edge, you have to go just over it a few times to realize, no, that is too much. I need to pull back a little bit. But if you don't do that, you'll never know where the edge is. You'll never know what too much is. You need to find out what too much means.
That's very wonderful, and I can totally relate to that. Sometimes you have to do too much to then understand the nuance that's required to step back or to improve yourself. When we're looking at spirituality, it's not simply a straight line that goes like that or like this. It's one that is like waves, and you have to find your balance in the waves, and that's the key to living in life. Yeah, there are times when you're going to have to be fully involved in life, but then when you're fully involved, when you feel that it's getting too much, then you can just step back and say, you know what, I need to find the perfect balance. Like, I've had to do that with podcasting, doing these things for the Bearded Mystic brand itself, for work, for my home life with my wife, and then the extended family. You have to do all those things, but it takes time to juggle and understand what the right balance is. I feel really happy listening to this, because not that oh, I knew this, but actually now I know this is the right way of doing things. You have to sometimes go extreme to then take things down a notch or two, or bring things up a bit.
Find out what too much means. There's one of my favorite films called The Red Shoes. Do you know that film? It's a beautiful old film called The Red Shoes.
It's not like I have time to watch a film, but I'll write it down anyway.
You probably don't have a time to watch it. But there's a beautiful, I haven't watched it for years. There's a beautiful line in it. I can't even quote it. It's so long. But it's the old dance master is saying to this young dance student, if you don't know what excess is, there's nothing to pare away. If you don't first know what going over the top is, what would you know to prune? So he was encouraging this young dancer to go a little bit too far in order to know what is necessary to prune. So don't worry about too much.
Thank you.
It's part of finding the balance, the measure. It's a necessary part.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again. Good luck with your studies.
That was a very wonderful video. Ended as we would expect, but he gives an example from a movie, even though I haven't heard of The Red Shoes as a movie, but it makes me understand that he knows what's going on in the world, but he can relate to us with certain art that we can relate to. But most of all, what I learned from that conversation was a few things. One was, make sure that when you work in the world, that you can put your whole heart into it, and eventually you'll find that balance where awareness or Brahman is always there. Even if it's in the background and work is going on in the foreground, let that be. Don't have any conflict about it. And then the other part was having balance. Balance is really important. Understanding when you're going too much and how to then bring it back a little bit. And that it's all trial and error. Don't get too fixed upon if you fail. There's no such thing as failure on this path. There is only success. And this is something we need to understand with spirituality, that yes, even though I may not attain mukti in this life or liberation in this life, but I know I've taken steps to get closer. I know I have been progressive in that step. So one should never feel that they are failing. You are always succeeding. You're always progressing. These are good lessons for me personally, and it's great to learn from a master, a teacher like Rupert, who I've been listening to for a few years, and I've read some of his books, and they've been very insightful. He really understands what consciousness is, and he's able to say things in a very simple manner, which everyone can grasp. And the issue we have with non-duality or Advaita Vedanta is that sometimes to explain paradoxes, you have to use language in such a way where people may not be able to comprehend what you're saying. But I feel Rupert has a real great grasp on the language and how to relate to day-to-day people. That was a great video. Really think it was insightful. Let me know what you thought of the first reaction video, and let me know what videos you would like me to react to, what spiritual videos you would like my take on. Now remember, not every reaction is going to be like this where I've enjoyed the video. There may be times where I may disagree with someone, and I will mention that. But today I wanted to start with something I know I would have enjoyed and learned from. So let me know in the comments what videos you would like me to react to, or message me on Twitter. You can contact me on Instagram or TikTok and let me know what video you would like me to respond to or react to. And do look forward to my podcast episode that will be coming on Sunday. And join me on Patreon too. Make sure you take a look. The link is in the video description below. I look forward to seeing you on the next reaction video. Take care everyone. Namaste.